All right. So it's difficult to see, but I think everybody had his lunch, and I hope you enjoyed the lunch. If you're still having lunch, then keep enjoying, but also enjoy this beautiful story from Vertiv. So my name is Emile Van de Klok. Thanks for the introduction, Dave. I'm indeed from the Dutch team, but I'm responsible for our partner marketing automation solutions, and I'm really thrilled to be here on stage together with Martin Coulthard. There you go. Martin is Senior Global Director for Digital Customer Experience within Vertiv, and the beautiful thing is that he's going to share, and I think this is always the most valuable thing, if customers share their own experience. He's going to share, let's say, their journey on trying to be successful and scaling their global partner marketing. And he's going to be very honest, because it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. It hasn't been easy, but we're getting there. So, Vertiv is one of those 75% of the companies that go to market via an indirect channel. And I think it's not just Vertiv, I think everybody in this room goes indirect. Or you are a partner in the ecosystem that provides services to companies that go direct or indirect. If you are going indirect, like Vertiv, then the main question always is, how can you fully leverage your partnerships, or maybe even better, ecosystem partnerships, to generate more business? I think everybody in this room is thinking about this, or should think about this every day again, like how are we going to generate more business with our ecosystem? Vertiv made the decision to buy our PRM and partner marketing automation solution and embedded that as a part of their marketing strategy for the indirect channel. And what I just want to be very clear on this one, you can buy the tools, it doesn't say that you're going to be successful. Because the tools without the skills, that's nothing. So you need the skills as well, and I think that Martin is going to explain a lot about their experiences and the skills that they are building up to make this successful. Before I'm going to hand over to Martin, I just want to be very clear on TCMA. Or like Joe was saying, a lot of customers are telling him like, TCM what? Right? Nobody understands it. So that terminology is a difficult one, but actually it's a pretty simple concept. Everybody here knows marketing automation, which is used by corporates for corporate marketing, like platforms like Marketo or Eloqua or Pado, to do direct marketing to end customers. But if you've got a channel and if you've got your partners, and those partners have their end customers, then you can't use a Marketo or Eloqua to market through the channel to those end customers. That's not possible. That's why you have true channel marketing automation, right? So let me explain in a nutshell what it is. A TCMA platform enables the vendor to centralize all the campaigns. Campaign content like email, social, Google Ads campaigns, showcases, landing pages. So everything is centralized. The next step is that these campaigns and these content items can be delivered to the partners so that they can use it to go to their end customers. So it's actually the marketing automation platform for the partners. But the nice thing that the platform is doing is that it automatically co-brands everything for that partner. So they don't have to do that themselves. So it's ready to send email, social post, or ready to activate Google Ads campaigns. If we take one step further, then it's also very important to understand, like, the role of, a channel, or one of the roles, of course. Why is Vertiv having a channel with 20,000 partners? It's because those partners have their local networks and their local contacts, and you want to be able to reach out to those end customers, to those contacts, the known contacts that are out there. So the TCMA tools provide tactics like email or social, organic social, to reach out to those existing contacts of your partners. So that's where we use email and social. If you take one step further, you say like, well, we are not just interested in reaching out to those existing contacts, we're also interested to reach out to the unknown audiences. The people or the organizations that those partners are not aware of, but are in their local regions, for instance. You can't do that easily with an email, because if they're not in your database, you can't send an email to them. You can't do that with your organic social, because they're not followers of you. So, if you look in the digital world, then today you do that with advertising. So the advertising is a very important component in the TCMA solution to say like, you want to reach out to your existing contacts, but also to the unknown audiences. And I can tell you one thing, if you help your partners to reach out to unknown audiences and generate new leads for them, new contacts, they will get very happy about that. And that's the experience so far. So that's where you need paid media, like Google Ads, or we explained that yesterday during the product roadmap as well, you know, coming up LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads, very important. So that's TCMA in a nutshell. According to Forrester, around 50% of the companies, brands, have implemented some sort of partner marketing automation. And I would need to get some confirmation actually from Forrester, because I think this is really focused on the tech market and not over all the verticals, but around 50%. But the interesting thing here is that only 17% is fully satisfied with what they're getting out of those systems. Only 17%. I can tell you Vertiv doesn't belong to the 70% yet, but they're almost there. Almost. That's what Martin is going to explain. I just want to explain very briefly why 83% is not that satisfied. And I do that based on this picture. And I don't know who is familiar with soccer, and especially going back in time. This was 1986. Does anybody recognize this soccer player that did one of the most beautiful goals ever with his bicycle kick back in 1986? And of course my Dutch team members can't say anything because they will know. Anybody recognize them? Nobody. So this is Marco van Basten. And Marco van Basten has been one of the most famous players, but unfortunately too short because of injuries. But he was awesome. So why do I show this picture? Because if I would have Marco van Basten right here, and I would ask him to play a game with each individual of you, I can tell you 100% sure he will beat all of you. No doubt. He will win the game from all of you. And the funny thing is, we are all using the same ball, the same tool. But he knows how to play the tool. He knows how to kick the ball. So he's just better than all of us, right? Is that because of his talent? Yeah, of course, he has some talent in this, but it's also because of the 10 and 10,000s of hours of practice and education and the right coaching and everything. So what I want to say is, like, if you want to play this game, in this game, soccer, you need someone that has the skills to do it and to score his goals. It's the same with TCMA. If you want to do that, you need the skills to use the tool. If you've never practiced it, you can't expect to be successful from day one. You need to learn. It takes time, like everything. But I can also turn it around. If this ball was not a quality leather ball, but it was a plastic beach ball, half inflated, then Marco van Basten wouldn't have scored this beautiful goal. So what I just want to say with that one, you also need the right quality tool set. So it's the combination of those two. You can't be successful if the tool set is not doing the job for you. So, if we look at what do you need education in, what is it that you need to learn, then these for me are the three things. And I know yesterday I mentioned them, but I also made the promise already the day before yesterday. I'll keep repeating them, because these are the top 3 challenges. So the things that you need to educate yourself in, like how am I going to create partner adoption? Vertiv, 20,000 partners. The goal, 200, which is too low actually, right? You rather have thousands of partners using it, but you need to start somewhere. But it's always better than 25 partners. So you need to learn how to do that. Then the second thing is the marketing results. You might have your whole infrastructure out there, which means partners registered into the platform and starting to use the platform in the way that you want that. So you've got your 1,000 partners that finally start doing the marketing activities, but then you need marketing results. And those marketing results is that combination like I just mentioned. It's your known context, but also your unknown audiences that you need to combine together to be successful. The last thing is visibility. I think it has already been mentioned in previous sessions. But like I mentioned yesterday with people that joined that session with the product roadmap, you know, if you don't have the data, then you can't optimize, right? So the visibility in the data itself is key to make things successful. Even with, let's say, our Google Ads campaigns, don't expect it will be successful from day one, right? We know with the best practices how to start, but at the same time, we have to learn, and based on the data, the facts behind that, we can change the campaigns, and we can change it to be more successful, and that takes time. That's just the simple truth. So it's my pleasure to hand over to Martin, who will explain around those topics what their journey has been so far. Martin?
Well, thank you, Emile. Thank you, Impartner. Thank you, the audience. It's very humbling to be here up on stage. But actually what my company is trying to do is to emulate the success in the channel that all of you have. So what I want to do today is to share the journey that Vertiv is on. So to begin with, a few words, who is Vertiv? It was mentioned earlier this morning from Joe that we were spun out from an industrial conglomerate, Emerson Electric, back in 2016. So we're a global business-to-business enterprise. We have $4.6 billion in sales and we're Fortune 500 company. We're a very successful direct sales business. We have market share globally in excess of 20%, and we power many of the world's largest data centers for Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, you name it, we power it. However, 50% of the addressable market is in the IT channel, and you can see this is where the Vertiv market share is very small, you know, sub 5%. So what I want to do today is to tell a story in two parts. The first one is our experience bringing on board the new partner portal, and then secondly, I'll go on to explain the journey we have with TCMA. So the journey began back in 2019, the arrival of the new CMO, my boss, Rainer Stiller. First time I met Rainer, he said, "Hey, Martin, show me Vertiv's PRM." And there's embarrassing silence. You know, had to pause for a moment and then finally said, "Well, we do have a PRM, but it's not very good. It's good enough for the couple of hundred partners we had at that point in time who had been working with us for 20 years. So if it took 3 to 4 working days to set up a new user account, hey, you know, these partners, you know, accept that. They know what we're good at, what we're bad at." So clearly this was not good enough. My role is as growth marketer. And the principle has always followed me throughout my career that if you want it, you own it. So therefore at Vertiv, I have the responsibility for the marketing technology, and this includes the partner portal as well. So with my new mission from my new boss, I started speaking with my IT counterpart, Christian Scarpa. Went across to Christian, "Hey, we need a new PRM." And he said, "What are you talking about, Martin? We already have over 50 tools in the PRM ecosystem." So anyway, the conversation went on for several months, back and forth, you know, forming a really, really tight bond between the business and IT. And then finally, we pinned down the business need. The business need was that we want to go into a hyper-growth mode of long-tail reseller and recruitment. So therefore, we were able to then translate this into what is the IT need to deliver this. And, you know, we defined this as we needed a global provider for a scalable enterprise-grade PRM ecosystem that would grow with the business. So we spoke with Forrester, we spoke with many others, we put out an RFP, and guess who won? Impartner. So, back in 2019, this is an extract from an internal document, and it really is there to show how messy the back-end IT infrastructure was to support our partners. You know, we did have some best-of-breed tools. We had some business processes that had no tools whatsoever. And we also had, you know, use of Excel for some of the processes. Clearly, all of this did not work well together. So, you know, if I was asked, how many partners do you have in your program? How many deal registrations have been submitted? Who's logging into the portal? These were all questions, you know, really unable to answer back in 2019. So, the game changer was working with Impartner, you know, starting 2020. So together with Impartner, we co-designed the PRM ecosystem. And of course, this involved placing the partner portal from Impartner right at the core of our ecosystem. And then we would work through the outer layers, you know, connecting all of the satellite tools back to this central core, you know, the strong enterprise-grade core. Then the next step was we wanted to optimize. So together, between IT and the business, we systematically worked through many of the connected the satellite tools that we had and decided, well, do we want to standardize these? Do we want to bring them up to enterprise-grade capability with full IT support, or do we want to retire them, or do we want to replace them with the Impartner equivalent? So this was the IT leader's dream, you know, to work with a single vendor, you know, consolidate and strengthen the strategic relationships, and then to reduce cost and system complexity by removing many of the satellite tools, you know, making it all much easier to support and maintain. So it was hard work, but we had success. So excellent project management from Impartner. So together in a 6-month period, we were able to design the global template. We actually created a new partner program that worked right across all countries where we were operating, and we had standardized tiers, and then we designed, built, and deployed the new PRM ecosystem in 5 world regions inside of 6 months. You know, so quite an achievement. What this allowed us to do was, this brought the success of the hypergrowth. So in the first year, we were able to onboard to recruit and onboard 15,000 net new resellers. And we smashed a few milestones along the way. Inside 18 months, we broke through the $2 billion deal registration barrier. These were deal registrations that were enabled by our partners through the new portal. So, besides keeping my boss happy, keeping myself in employment, we believe in getting the voice of customer feedback from our partners. So, you know, very strong testimonials, quotes that you'll see on screen now from those people who really count, the distributors, the resellers who use our portal, you know, for their interactions, how they transact with Vertiv. So, I was buoyed by this success, and at this stage, I started hearing about TCMA, starting to read and hear about many of the things that Emile is doing, and he was, you know, proudly, you know, referring to success that Isabel at Xerox is having with the TCMA tool from Impartner, you know, where Xerox is able to provide in EMEA, enabled through TCMA, you know, many quality sales leads to the Xerox partners. So, as a growth marketer, I thought, hey, you know, that's what I want. You know, I want TCMA. So, combining my role as the growth marketer and my responsibility for the marketing technology, I had the the ideal opportunity. It was the dream to design the closed loop lead management system that we would have to enable the demand marketing of our partners to the end user base. So I was able to dig into the very extensive capabilities or the modules from Impartner. So I thought, right, I want the partner locator that we would operate as a finder reseller tool on the Vertiv.com website. I also wanted the TCMA to enable our partners to send the co-branded emails and social posts to their end user database. And also to bring in the Google ads for the channel, which you'll hear more about from Google themselves tomorrow. And this would be for the sales lead generation. All of this was held together by a single inquiry form that would create a lead that would go into the leads dashboard of our partners inside of the portal. Vertiv is an Oracle house, so we were unable to use the connectors that Impartner already have, for Salesforce.com, for Microsoft Dynamics, to connect PRM with CRM. So with the Impartner developer team, we were able to create or to build a new connector between PRM and our Oracle CRM. What this enabled Vertiv to do is for the marketing generated leads, for example, from events, from telemarketing, that we wanted to feed into our channel partners, we were able to use this new connected ecosystem to feed these leads into the leads dashboard of our partners. And having this connection between PRM and CRM worked great because it enabled our ISRs to work in their system of choice, the Oracle CRM, but to provide visibility, oversight, governance of the sales leads that our partners were using. So, all good so far. So once we'd set up TCMA, the goal was simple. We wanted to onboard hundreds of partners and have them fully automated in months. Now comes the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, why did we go for Impartner TCMA? Well, I would say firstly, it was the competitive pricing. We already had a TCMA vendor. This is one of the satellite tools. But this was being run as a sort of fully managed service, which is great, but it comes at a cost. Probably I think 4 to 6 times more expensive per user account than the Impartner equivalent. I use the analogy of the cost of a Domino's pizza per month, and why? It's because as a growth marketer, the per user account for the Impartner TCMA is costing me about Domino's pizza per month. But really, in my opinion, this provides a very good ROI because it allows the partner to have the co-branded web page, to allow co-branded assets to be sent out by email and social posting by the partner. So a very strong ROI here. Jay mentioned about the importance of integration, and I think this is really the number one takeaway, the reason why it all works so well together. My friend Emile did not want me to use this quote, this one throat to choke, but I insisted on keeping it in because really what I had with my previous TCMA vendor and other tools, in fact, was that nothing worked well together. So it was like an absolute nightmare where each tool vendor would blame each other why things weren't working. So with the previous TCMA, I was never able to get this, fully connected back into the PRM. So there's a dual registration process for our partners. Obviously not a good partner experience. So, my opinion only, but I take the view that if the Impartner tool module does 80% of what a best-of-breed tool can provide, I will always put the money towards the Impartner tool, really just for the benefits of this seamless integration. So, why not be ambitious that you heard we've got 20,000 partners, so hey, why not offer this to everyone? So if it provides a good ROI and it's easy to scale, then put the two together, offer it to all of the partners. So we started with Plan A. Plan A was for partners to receive leads from the Find a Reseller tool on Vertiv.com, and they could go into PRM and access TCMA. It was promoted in the usual way that, emails to the partners, pages in the portal. And we had a very simple launch package. The result, we crashed and burned. Spectacular failure. Actually, the adoption decreased. We went from around 80 partners that we had in our previous TCMA tool down to 15. However, this was not altogether bad, because with the previous tool, we were paying for activated partners. So and activated means that they'd not yet completed all of the setup steps, so we were getting no value, but we were still paying. Whereas the thing I like about the Impartner TCMA is only we pay for active accounts. So that means that the partner web page is bringing traffic, visitors going onto the page, and that makes it an active account. Results were poor, but it did start to send out a signal of intent to our channel network that Vertiv was starting to become a more channel-friendly company. Perhaps we should have listened to Jay McBain. His quote is so true, that only 17% of companies are satisfied with TCMA. Vertiv at this stage was definitely in the 83% of being very unsatisfied. The lesson learned, you can take a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. And actually this is true not just for TCMA, but don't need to tell anyone in the crowd. It's the same sort of principle for any new tool or program that you bring into your organizations. So, I had to dust myself down and move on to Plan B. So what was Plan B? And that was to allow partners to generate their own leads using TCMA. And it was at this point where we thought, hey, no one knows what TCMA actually is, what it stands for, what it does, so we sort of repositioned it and renamed it to the Vertiv Marketing Center. We also started to get a better understanding of what partners want and don't want for the marketing support. We started to talk with the channel teams and the regional channel teams, and we started to supply a range of Vertiv-generated training guides, videos, and so on. I even assigned a global platform champion from my team, an experienced digital marketer, to coordinate the deployment across all 5 regions and to work very closely with our partners and our channel marketers. And at this point, I started to talk very much with Emile. The result? Mixed. We did see a small uplift in TCMA. We started to see a trickle of partner-generated leads, but perhaps most importantly, this was a so what moment. This was the time when our partners could actually see that, hey, Vertiv, you are getting serious about investing in marketing, investing in how to help me grow my business. The lessons we were learning here was, the feedback from our partners, was that they have too many vendors to work with and keep happy. And especially for the long tail resellers, they often don't have the expertise, the time, the resources in order to do the demand marketing. And from a Vertiv perspective, the channel marketers, the account managers really have too many initiatives to support, 10 to 20 at any point in time. So, Plan C. And by this stage, we had completed the build of this closed loop lead management system, and the two new, the The two new aspects here was that we were now able to feed the Vertiv generated leads into the leads dashboard of the partners, and we launched with Google Ads for the channel. It was at this point where we went really deep into the organization and started talking with the country level channel marketers. They would be the ones who need to go in and convince their partners, build the trust, of what TCMA is, why they should be using it. It was also at this point we had that sort of reflection moment, recognizing that although TCMA from Impartner is designed as, you need no setup, it still does require a very small amount of, configuration to do. So we had to build the trust with the partners and generate the confidence of our channel marketers to actually, know how to do this. We also allowed our channel marketers to go and cherry pick the partners that they want to work with. The ones that, that would be able to embrace, this new way of working. And Impartner Cavalry arrived with, many training guides and, training guides, webinar materials to support the cause. Really this was the man versus the machine moment. That, to understand how automated marketing actually operates. I don't know who in the audience has a car that can park for itself. I do. I can press the button and it reverses itself into the parking bay. But how many times do we actually use that? And that's really the point where we're at with TCMA. But the good thing with the Impartner tool is that it can be set in one of two operating modes. It can be fully automated, or it can be set to manual, to allow that human to, press the button before the email is sent or the social post is sent out. So, are we getting success? Well, mostly. We're making good progress, as you've heard. We now get a good blend of leads from, from the locator, TCMA, Vertiv generated leads. And it was at this point where Vertiv started to really grow in confidence, that we started to weaponize our marketing generated leads, those coming from Google Ads, and to be able to pick the partners that we want to work with, not the other way around, not to be beholden to others. So at this point, you're asking what were the results, and I get to use a quote from Top Gun 1. So we all know the plot. Maverick goes into the bar, sits beside Charlie, they start chatting. The conversation goes that, how's it going? Crashed and burned on the first attempt, I know the feeling. And then they get asked on the second attempt, and the immortal line is, I don't know, but it's looking good so far. So, that really is the message that I would say on behalf of Vertiv and TCMA, that we're not there yet, but it is looking good so far. We do have some, continuing this voice of customer feedback. We have quotes here from our partner in India who likes using what we're supplying because finds it easy to work in the leads dashboard. Stuart, our channel marketer in the UK, likes TCMA because it offers him a unique selling point, a key differentiator when he goes and talks on a daily basis with the partners that he has to support to help them put together their marketing programs. The results are good. The showcase page has a click-through rate of 35%, which is far greater than any Vertiv equivalent. And also of the emails that are sent by the partners have a click-through rate 350% better than if I was as a vendor to send the emails myself. So together, this evidence seems to indicate that the end users actually do engage better when they receive content that is co-branded and it shows the collaboration between the partner and the manufacturer. So what key learnings can I pass on to you? I would say, first build your infrastructure first, and then use the automation. I typically have the project methodology, then I'll launch with a minimal viable proposition, then crawl, walk, run, and improve. Really, this did not work with the partners. They do not want to be the guinea pigs for your new technology. They have their successful businesses to run, so they don't want to waste time and effort, with something that is not yet, ready for their use. Also, the importance of getting your own people on board as quickly as possible. Really go deep into the organization and get directly to those channel marketers who will be having to sit in front of the partners to build the trust and confidence to use these type of tools. I also found great benefit from working with the Impartner product team. They work across, hundreds of different clients, and they know the tools so much better, and they're actually nice people to work with, always, happy to help. For the demand marketers, recognize that email and social is lead nurture, but the transformation comes really from adding Google Ads. We had to build a training kit for both our partners and for internal teams, and really sort of go back to basics to help them to understand what is TCMA. Consider regionalization. We started with a global template, but then we find out that, Thailand is so different to Texas. And be prepared to be agile along the way. You heard, my experience, plan A, plan B, plan C. But, believe in the power of conviction, that TCMA is a good thing to have. And, that will help you to overcome the obstacles along the way. So I like this quote from Isabel at Xerox, and that is, if you don't bring new leads to partners, or only one per month, you will lose their attention and engagement. So that's what Vertiv is trying to do with the locator leads, the TCMA, the Google Ads, the marketing generated leads, to really build a critical mass. So, I believe success comes from readiness, trust, and confidence. If here trust, the word trust again. But, be ready, willing, able. The TCMA tool is from Impartner. It's ready. It's ready for fully automated campaigns. But we need to build that trust with willing partners. Go and find the sweet spot of those partners who want to work with you and want to embrace this way of working, and incentivize the early adopters. Give them some reason. We use Google Ads as this reason, to come on board early. And perhaps importantly, it's to build the confidence of your own channel marketers. If understand the human psychology, that if they don't get TCMA, then they will put their heads in the sand and they'll just simply ignore it, and your program will be doomed. So is there a single silver bullet? Of course not. But every story should have a happy ending, at least in the movies and books that I read. So, as a result of PRM, TCMA, and the many other things that Vertiv is doing in the channel, that we've, really grown our market share. So now for North America, that we're number 2 for single phase UPS. So not number 1 yet, but, on a very strong trajectory. Yeah, thank you, Song. So, thank you for listening. That's the Vertiv story, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Thanks a lot, Martin, for sharing this really honest story. I can tell you that last week I was at a forestry event in EMEA, and I was on stage together with Xerox, and Xerox belongs to that 17%. But they are far ahead because they have been working on this for the last 5 years. And it was the question like, are we going to invite Xerox for this event, or are we going to invite Vertiv? And for me it was clear, we need a story that a lot of people can recognize. And if you haven't used TCMA yet, oh, it takes some effort to make this successful. That's just a true story. But if you are very successful, then you belong to that 70%, you have a competitive advantage, right? Because you are the ones that can make this successful. And I think with this journey with Vertiv, we made a joke. next year he will be on stage here as well, and I showed the same picture with Marco van Basten, but then with his head, right? He will score the goals right now. So thanks for listening. Thanks a lot for sharing this story. I think it was very valuable. I hope it was valuable. Are there any questions? Because I think we have some Q&A, right, Dave?
I think we might have run out of time.
Oh, really?
I think we did. I apologize for that. But I do want to have Martin available for people to ask questions to offline.
Yeah,
I think that would be.
I'm here today, tomorrow, so please, come and stop me if you want to have any questions, and I'll be very open, honest as always.
Unless we've got one really juicy question from the audience. So, right, yeah, let's do that right there. April, do you have a mic?
Hello there. Yeah. So I'm Ash from Cloudflare, and my question's around whether TCMA helped you improve transparency of partner marketing campaign attribution.
So whether the TCMA is helping with the transparency of the attribution of the marketing campaigns. That's right? That's your question. Yep.
Well, yes, it does, because the transparency comes in many different ways. It comes from our channel marketers sitting down with the partners, to understand how we can support the partners, plus getting the understanding what materials, what sort of campaigns to feed into the, into the machine, in effect. And we can all see the results in a, shared dashboard, and so that in itself generates the transparency. So really the TCMA was an enabler to break down the barriers to really get our more engaged channel marketers actually go on with something unique and different to work with the partners on these joint campaigns. So the answer is yes, it does. It does break down the barriers, enables a new way of working, and therefore provides transparency to to everything and everyone.
And I can add one thing on top of that, is that the leads that are generated and coming into the lead dashboard, you have the attribution there, so like, oh, this lead came from a social or an email, this lead came from this campaign, or if you've got Google Ads, then you can see the dashboard and see like which keywords were most important driving traffic and driving conversions, right? So that gives a lot of transparency, not just on, let's say, the corporate campaign level, but through the whole channel. So that's an amazing amount of data in which you can, with the discussion that we had before here, I would say the enterprise, so the corporate organization and the channel, we've got customers that combine that technically to say, like, on corporate level, we do campaigns with keywords, let's say more top of the funnel, and then with the channel, we do it more bottom of the funnel. So that's also a connection that can be made, and it makes it very transparent, because Vertiv as a customer has all that data amongst all the channel partners that are participating, and it's helping the channel partners to be more successful, because we can optimize the campaigns based on that big data, which is a huge amount of data that you can accelerate success for everybody. So that was the only question, right?
Awesome, and thank you so much. That amazing result. A click-through rate, a page conversion rate of 35% is huge.
Yeah.
An email click-through rate, 350% higher than your direct.
Indeed.
If nothing else, I think that really underscores the message that we heard from some of our other people this morning, where there's a hunger for that community in an outreach, and having a local partner engage from a marketing perspective convinces the prospective client this is something that's real. I thought that the way you said this, it was great. Partner marketing is a process and not an event, right? You iterated on that, but your partners had to iterate as well, and it's just like direct marketing. You don't ever go up to a CEO and say, "Hey, have you done the marketing yet?" It's a process. It's an ongoing learning event. And also, I think Martin made the really important part that I'm not saying that there's not partner loyalty anymore, but they do work with a lot of vendors. And your job is not to try and lock them in for life. Your job is to continually make your process the easiest and most lucrative for them and draw them to you on an ongoing basis. How many of you have, by the way, $2 billion of deal registration that have come in through your... Yeah, that was kind of what I thought. But and then the point, just right at the end, Emile, and you were commenting on the same thing. The question about attribution, because it's a closed loop system, the attribution is much easier to track. By the way, I have asked Trevor. He's going to update our price list so that all of our prices will be reflected in number of Domino's pizzas per month. So we'll use that as our currency so far. So great. Thanks, Emile. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dave.
Martin, really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Great, 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 great.